Okay, so we've got the parts from the winch now. This is what we had earlier on out on deck. The bucket still hasn't got any diesel in it. We've got to fill this one up with diesel, and we've got to get some water and get some soap and water in here. First things first is the diesel. Okay, so we get the diesel, we've got the nozzle on it, and we're trying to do this without spilling it everywhere. So we go nice and slowly and just get it onto these parts. Of course, it's going to drip out of the can onto the floor here in front of me. Come on, buddy, really? Is that where we're at? Okay, we don't have to do too much. And of course, that's the first diesel spill of the day. It's always the way, isn't it, with those flipping, those tops. You know, that is completely sealed down tight, and of course it leaks everywhere. But that's kind of why we have these here. This kind of job, you're always going to end up with some diesel somewhere, some oil somewhere. I guess we'll start as we mean to go on, right? Look at that, I've even got my gloves out and my safety glasses. Go chuck it on the floor. Well, welcome to the real world. This is how it goes, right? The disinfecting wipes are really good for picking this stuff up. And I say that as someone who's about to sit exactly where I just spilt diesel. Okay, not too bad. I'll get a rag and put it on there as well. Not the end of the world. Right, the main thing, yeah, these gloves. Chris, think about this. Don't wipe off the diesely glove on the thing where you're gonna sit, mate. I haven't put gloves on doing this kind of job in 1,000 years. But as I am now in a situation where I'm showing you exactly what I do, it does occur to me that I have no great interest in getting these kind of chemicals under my skin. I do have a few cuts on my skin at the moment, so I am going to pop these on. I actually got these as gauntlets for helming. I have these on to keep my hands at least dry, and then don't get so cold when I'm out and about on deck. Not very useful for doing fine work, but very, very useful when you're doing stuff, you know, where you're just holding the wheel for long periods. Anyway, the point is, we've got diesel in here. Next thing, we've got to get some there. We got to get some soap and water in this one. And yes, you don't need very much soap in these kind of situations, but when the diesel comes out of here, this is going to capture all of the diesel. It's going to end up getting used a lot, so we're going to need to put in more than you'd put in for washing up with your you know, at home with the plates and what have you. There's not diesel on the plates, is there? You can get a good volume of water here. The surfactant in the detergent is going to wrap itself around the oils over here in the diesel. And we know how much is in here, which means that when we're done, we should be able to get pretty much all of it back in this jug, and then we can dispose of this jug with diesely water in it. Shouldn't be an issue. All right, let's get a go. Pretty obvious from here. Maybe get rid of this bit pretty quickly. Now, the thing with this is, like brushing your teeth, it's going to flick everywhere, right? When I go like this, all the flicks are going to go that way. And when I go like this, all the flicks are going to go that way. So just, you see I've covered up the cushions here. Just try and aim it down into the bucket. Try and get as much off as you can. These parts, although they're very, very dry, they're actually not too caked with anything in particular. Sometimes they're really caked with salt, sometimes they're really caked with old grease that's completely dried out and gone hard. As you'll see when we get into greasing this up, I use like a marine grease. I do not use the grease which comes from the winch manufacturers like Lewmar. Their grease is so expensive. You know, if you're going to grease all of the winches I've got on this boat, you'd have to take out a mortgage. So give these a bit of a going over. Get a bit of a rag involved here. That's what these are for. Make sure that bearing surface is clean. Looks good. And we're just trying to get the worst of it off here now. We'll go through these later on and get any details out. Looks pretty good. I've got a wire brush here, and I've got a brass brush. Brass brushes you have to be a little bit careful with. They brass is quite soft, and it will break off the little spiles at the roots, and then they end up on the floor all around. So I used to have a period where I would brass brush the stainless steel quite a lot on the boat as a great way of cleaning it off, and I kind of drifted away from doing that because Just ended up with so many of these stuck in my feet. Now, there we go. See this? This is why everything's covered up. The wood's covered up, the seats are covered up, and why I'm in the corner. Everything that I'm going to flick is going to be on here. I know that. I can just get my tissues from over here. Burp, burp, burp. Give it a clean off. I don't want to be in a situation where I leave a load of diesel on the floor. So I'm going to go slowly through all these parts now. Let's have a see what else we got here. This is one of the gears with the pawls inside it. Again, I could take the back off here and then look at stripping this thing completely down. This winch hasn't been apart in like at least a year that we know of. So why don't we get it like mostly clean now, and then we'll have a good impetus to come back and open this up again in a month's time, something like that. Do a transatlantic with it, have a look inside, and then we can do more like detailed service jobs, like get all the pawls out and everything. But we've got on this boat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 winches to do, right? That's before we do any of the blocks or anything else. So we want to get everything to a basic standard, and then we'll go up from there later on. This is completely free. The pawls are all working. There's no breakages, there's no issues. We don't have to add 25 minutes to each of these to then make sure every little tiny bit of it. It's about getting things done as much as you can in the available time. Again, we probably could do more to that, but I've just got this very small amount of diesel in here. I don't want big sloshing amounts of diesel in. What is going to happen to this diesel afterwards? It's going to go into this jug. It's going to go to probably a reclamation center, or it's going to go into a hole in the ground. We don't need to add to the world's pollution if we don't absolutely have to, So that's pretty clean. What we'll do afterwards, see we've got some hard deposits in here. I'm not going to sit in here with a wire brush flicking the soapy water or the diesel out of these deep crevices with a wire brush. I'm just going to end up with it everywhere, and I'm going to end up with the spiles broken off and all over the deck. So I'll get a longer toothed wire brush, take these out onto the dock, because we've got that available here, and give them a good deep clean and get right down into those places after we've got this initial clean out the way. Doing these kind of jobs, cleaning something like this out, the smell is really reminiscent to me of being a young fella coming up working in a workshop. I was in my father's workshop from, well, as far back as I can possibly remember. I guess 8, 9, 10, somewhere around that. So of course one of the jobs I had was cleaning things in the parts washer, and I think that started a long-term love of cleaning stuff, like all the complications in life, all the things you have to stress about. You get something like this in your hands, all you have to do is clean it. Your job is done when you have cleaned it, and it is as clean as it needs to be. Like, there's some joy in just cleaning things, and it also helps limit the spread of the effects of ego, right? Get inside things and clean them out. It's also preventative maintenance. Like, as I go down this shaft here on this winch, I'm checking for corrosion, I'm checking for, I don't know, like cracks or chips or bends or burrs or galling or any kind of marks which can give me an indicator that there might be something going on here that's not completely clear to the initial look. And I can do that for all the components. So a lot of this is just a little bit of time, let the diesel work its way into it, and hopefully by the end of it we end up with something nice and clean like this. Get it in the soap here, and we can get everything cleaned off and get it back on the winch. I'll continue with this, and I'll check back in with you when it's done. Do do do, do 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 do. Do do do. Okay, well, for better or for worse, that's all done. So we have now got a nice pile of clean parts. We can see the dirty diesel here, and all of that crap that's in there is what's come off the winch parts, and then this was the diesel obviously on the surface of the water here. Most of this is captured by the detergent here, and what I'll do is I'll add a bit more detergent in And then this is going to get mixed in with the diesel going up this way. Oh, don't drop it, Chris. Gotta try and do things with one hand. Oh, there's something in there. What's in there? See, now we've got a relatively clean bucket that doesn't have any diesel in, and a diesel-y bucket which might be, oh, that's okay, might be on its way to getting cleaner. Give this a bit of a wash down. All right, and then we can get all of that and put it back in the jug. We know how much came out, and then we have got a little jug full of dirty, somewhat diesel-y water going to be put into the waste. They have an ability here to take old batteries and old engine oil and what have you, but we've diluted it down as much as we can. When it comes out my bucket will be relatively clean. Now I just need to do a quick tidy up around here, get the bits back on deck, and we can rebuild. Okay, so we're on deck, and it's another day later, and we've now got a lovely bucket of parts down here, nice and clean, the way it should be with this kind of equipment. So that's all down there, and then we've got the winch, and we've also got this part which came off the top, which had that crack in it. That's had some epoxy resin put into it, and that's all sealed up. So we're going to now get into putting the winch itself back together. Hopefully you get a good view of the proceedings. I've also got a lapel camera on for the first time, so that the wind doesn't carry my voice away, because it's a bit windier here today. Yeah, this is awkward. I'm having to sit like inside this inside this winch. Okay, so let's have a see. What have we got first? First part's going to be this. We're going to kind of rebuild it the way that we took it apart. It's a little awkward, but I think it'll make things a little easier. I'm going to get these plastic components really out the way. We don't need that guy till the end. We don't need that guy till the end. That one wants to be out the way. So let's get going with a few bits and bobs here. But hopefully we don't need those till the end. We don't really want to stack things up too much here. Okay, so we've got now the top of the winch. Of course, I now find a way to do this. It's a little awkward doing this, because you end up, if you're trying to film things, you're trying to sort of show what's going on. Hopefully this is about right. You can see what's happening. Okay, so we know that this guy's got the peg in it and it's got the plastic top. How much grease goes in these things? If you're doing it with me, a lot of grease goes in them. Most of the ways that these winches get damaged over time is by having to do jobs where you're trying to smash them apart, trying to get the pegs out. I've had it where we can't get the pegs, different design of winch where things are actually kind of like made into the bottom of the winch. We've had to drill up through the deck to gain access to then put a punch on the bottom of the pillars and get them back out of tricky situations where they're jammed in. So we want lots and lots of grease. Grease can also be applied in areas like this. Okay, we've had these out, we put some Duralac in them, we put them back in, but they are sitting here now completely exposed to whatever comes next, and I don't intend to be putting as much time between services as has happened before, but who knows exactly what's going to happen. Now you see in here where it's kind of silvery, that's not dirt, that's where the winch is sitting in position and lines are holding against it. This is going to have a lot of grease in it towards the end here, but we can throw a bit of in now. Now also we've got little areas, that's not too bad. If you've got any kind of corrosion on it, you can also get your grease and put it on top of the corrosion. That's going to stop that getting any more corroded over time. Okay, so where's the other pedestal? Did I get it out? Don't normally pull all the pieces out. Oh, here we go. Of course, it's right in front of me. Now we got another plastic washer. It needs to go in here. Get some on the top. Plastic washer. All right, so we have a pretty good buddy. Who goes where? I don't know. Oh, you know what? Ahaha. So we know what goes here, don't we? Look, it's this guy, because this one fits in here, and this is the one that doesn't have it. Aha. So a little bit of logic playing out there. Let's get some on this shaft. I say I know these pretty well. It's not like I do them, you know, probably normally see them every 3 or 4 months, something like that, but we can problem solve as we go along, can't we? Now, we don't have to necessarily get this all the way down to the very, very bottom. The cogs don't actually interact with each other in such a way that they touch the bottom of every divot between the cogs of the components here, all these pinion gears. So we can just get quite a lot of grease on here. You can see why the gloves are useful, unless you want this all over your hands. And you know, again, I lived a life where I didn't have any gloves on for any of this stuff for years and years and years. It was definitely my dad's style of engineering, an older style of engineering. But if you have to suddenly jump off this job and go and do something else on a boat, it's a lot easier to take a pair of gloves off and just go and do the other job than have to then start like seriously washing your hands. I can be out of these gloves and have hands that are ready to hold on to the boat in a couple of seconds, but if I have grease all over my hands, you know, it's 30 or 40 seconds before I can then hold on to something for my own safety. All right, so we've got the little guys. One, just doing a bit of boat yoga here, having to reach down whilst reaching round this thing. Okay, get these guys. I think you get the idea. Lots of grease. Now this grease is pretty heavy. This is a marine grease with corrosion control, okay? And again, I say I don't really tend to use the stuff from Lewmar. Sorry, Lewmar. They make brilliant stuff, but when you get to a point where you are paying, you know, way over the top for a load of grease, I can't do that. It just it sticks with me. And if they're saying there's particular inhibitors or things that help the winches go around faster, like I know that my method here will render this a slower winch than you might get doing this a slightly different way. Like, I totally understand that, but the fact of the matter is I need to operate this boat far from anywhere, and I can't have the winches needing loads and loads of servicing all the time because the grease that's in them is light, and I don't have the budget to be just buying loads of Lewmar grease to do these jobs with, when a little tub of this stuff for 10 bucks is just as good. Now, I'm putting the grease in with the pawls, and those who are racers will be just face palming now. What you'd often do if you're racing is you'd put an oil in here, a pawl oil, which would then mean that they would be quicker, the pawls would be quicker to pop back up into their position. Now, you can see it comes up pretty quickly, but when there's quite a few of them acting, it'll mean that the pawl action is slower. I totally get that. We're not racing this boat in that way. It's just not an issue. It's gonna be another big stretch. I think I'm gonna have to I'm sitting in a winch base with a winch top on my knee trying to do this. It's a bit of a new situation for me. Okay, try and make sure that things don't get out of hand here. Come on, buddy. Come on. There we go. Nice. Little rubber donut. All good there. Looks pretty good. Let's get our top back on our knee. And this guy goes in here. So, okay. And again, these are the metal needle roller bearings. These are the ones that are designed to take more sideways loading. Just smooch all this stuff in here. I say, you don't have to go right down to the bottom because the teeth don't engage so far, and they will carry a lot of it around, you know, with or without you. So you know, smooch it in. Now, if you're working in very hot environments, you may find after a dose of grease like this that the winch starts to leak grease out the bottom of the winch. That's your key that, you know, there's enough in there. So it might be a case of then coming in and taking the winch basically apart, undo the top again and wipe everything down and just reduce it to a level where it's not too crazy inside. This one goes here. Yes, it does. Is that correct? And then this guy goes somewhere in here. Yeah, okay, cool. It goes there. This guy needs a little bit of grease. A little bit, I mean, smooch a load of it on. Okay, in with the pawls, pressing it down into each one, trying to get it down the side of them. I push it down that back piece there. And it has corrosion inhibitors on it, so just, you know, generally covering the thing is very, very useful as well. Oh, come on, buddy. Okay, that's there, yeah, good. Get our little... You're gonna go in. Sometimes they'll just push in. Yep. Boink, that's that guy. Up you come. Oh, am I doing this wrong? I think I'm doing it wrong. Hang on. It's got a plastic washer. This one's up. Oh, that top piece. God damn, that's so annoying. Okay, so we've got this metal bearing that we know goes in the bottom here, sorry. And we know that there's a plastic that goes on top of that. They're all the same size, these, so it should be that guy. We know that what goes in there. This bit here, and this bit here, and this bit here, and this bit here. Okay, so load more grease, get it and shove it in around the back of the pawl there. In through the top. The action of trying to like shove it in there should get it round the back of it. Okay, completely covered there. Some of this on the cog, or the pinion, or the gear, or whatever I'm meant to call this thing. Okay, this guy here. Zoop. And then what were we talking about when we had this one on our hands last time? It's got a collar that needs to go one way, and it only works one way. Now, I have to try and remember which way that was exactly. Don't have to go crazy in there. We're not deliberately trying to slow the winch down. Bronze bush. My finger seems to be getting abnormally longer with my glove. Oh well, just roll with it. Dash 8's coming out of Southampton. This goes collar up. Good. Bronze bush. This guy back on here. So now this is going to end up in here, so like this, and that lot's going to go up through the gear stack once it's all bolted back together again. Is that correct? Yeah, I think that's correct. All right, now we have to get the main shaft and sort this guy out. 3, 4, and the little C-clips. That guy on there. Now, what we got here, we have one of these plastic rings, has to go at the bottom. And then we've got a lot of these bearings. Now, I would love it in the comments below, say I end up in a bit of a kind of vacuum doing this stuff where I'm doing it my way, and it's been quite a long time since I was taught to do this by somebody else. I spoke to someone not that long ago who said you didn't need to lubricate these at all. These little, I've still forgotten what that stuff's called. Well, the ceramic stuff. The ceramic stuff in these bearings. They were completely of the opinion that it could run absolutely dry as long as everything was clean. I'm not going there. My engineering might be then regarded as a little bit basic, but to me, when a system is one that's going to be, there's quite a lot hanging on this working, right? It's not optional whether this works or not. These guys are going to get some grease because I don't think it's going to slow them. I don't think it's going to stop them doing their job, but if that opinion I heard was incorrect, then obviously quite a lot of damage could happen. And to give you an idea, each one of these little pieces here would be about $1 each, something like that. If you rescue the race, the actual cage for the race, and that doesn't need replacing, each one of those would be $1. So they're like 20 odd bucks, you know, even if you're just buying the individual components. I'm not going to be writing off all of the rolling stock inside a winch because a bloke down the pub told me. Okay, so that goes in there. Oh, come on. Kind of a bit of a backwards way of doing it. Okay, good. And then this guy from here engages here. Oh, is that pulled out again? Ooh, this thing has popped out so many times during this rebuild. All right, no problem. Pay the stupid tax, as someone said in one of my videos. I thought that was a brilliant comment. Come on. I don't believe you. I don't think you're down. You down? Yeah, okay, you're down. All right. That's all looking pretty good. Maybe a little bit of grease there. And we need some grease on the end of these posts because we know they're going to go and sit in. So we've got 2 washers here. We've got one at the bottom we know doesn't come off and it's got the peg through, that's in position. The other one's there, the other one's here, and then there's one here. So we should just be able to then get this guy. You see it's got these little up stands. These pegs just allow you to locate things. These can take grease, right? There's no reason for these things not to have a bit of grease in there. We've got stainless steel and this alloy. Everything can take a little bit of grease, and then depression there, upstanding bits there. Line everything up. Oh, my glove is stuck. Okay, that's it. I feel like this is on the deck. That's not a good idea. Yeah, okay, so pretty cool there. Happy with that. Then we've got bolts over there. Again, a bit of boat yoga going on here. It's unbelievably uncomfortable sitting in that. Okay, so we get these 3 bolts, and this is where we get onto another component of doing this, which is Duralac. So anybody that's worked with Duralac before will understand my problem here. The top of the Duralac, in my experience, always gets stuck, and then you try and twist it off and then the packet shears. So you end up then with your Duralac being deployed in this kind of manner through the side of the packet. Just put a little bit on the end and then down it goes. So, and we don't mind if it squidges out and ends up being around the head of the bolt. That's kind of beneficial, because then it's going to stop the head of the bolt from sticking onto the dissimilar metal. And as you can see by the way this stuff has dried on the edge of the packet here, it dries hard, so it acts as a kind of Loctite as well. Get 3 of those in. Allen keys. Oh, and someone asked me what was the plastic scraper that knocked the top off. This was it. This was the thing, yeah. I think I showed it in one of the other videos, but all right, we'll just get these, a little bit of a turn on one of these so that we can drop this into the well. And then, to be absolutely honest, very selfishly, I just have to get to a position where I'm not sitting in this winch base any longer. I don't think my butt can take it. Okay, sweet relief. I don't have to sit in this base anymore. All right, so this guy then is hovering over here. Let's get some grease in here. You see where these bolts are? Why allow them to get any more rusty? It's not important, right? It's not required, sorry. It's not important that this is dry in here. It can be greasy, that's not an issue. But those bolts, we do not need to have them. You know, there's going to become a point, maybe not too far in the future, we want to respray the deck on this boat, right? It's clearly not perfect, so we're going to have to be able to get in here and get these bolts undone. Same here, this position here, we don't want these getting stuck to each other. Sometimes the top of the winch, if you've got a really old situation with a boat, it's not been looked after properly, the top of the winch, this bit I've got in my hand here, it literally won't come off the base. So we can negate that by getting grease in here. Now, will it collect dust and stuff in here, become grinding paste? Yeah, absolutely, but it's not going to get then picked up. It's going to do that job and then hold the bits of crap together. This takes off here. Now those bits we were talking about with the winch, with the this can go in any way that you want it to go in, right? The damage that we had on it, where it's sitting with the load from the lines sitting on the winch, you know, where was that? Oh, maybe I should have found out properly when I was putting it back together again, but if I did know that, I would definitely move it so it was then in a slightly different position. I don't want the inside of here to become ovaled over time, so I'm putting them all back now with this at about the 6 or 7 o'clock position. Next time I'll put them back whether it's at the 3 o'clock position. Just keep trying to move things around. All right, main bearings, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's not forget the fact that these everything's getting mixed up. Where's my Allen key gone? There it is. Okay, we'll do a final tighten down at the end, but we don't want anything to be in the way right now, and then I know, something doesn't fit. I don't want to be putting the top on and then discover I'm trying to turn it around with a bolt sticking out and grinding the underside of the winch. Okay, all good there. All right, and then I'm going to get the bolts here. I'm going to put Duralac on them, and I'm going to get them in around here. Okay, so we're just getting towards the end of these. They've all got Duralac on. Nothing's tightened down yet. We're just getting everything in place. I'm running the bolts in just up to the point where tension comes on, and then this might not be that necessary for this kind of situation, but my father would be rolling in his grave if I tensioned up something like this and didn't do it in opposites. Okay, so we're trying to go round the winch and tighten things up in such a way that if it has any problem seating, it's not going to end up like kicked off to an angle because you tightened everything on one side and then the other side was loose. Okay, so we've gone round, then we go round afterwards and make sure everything is tight. And again, the torque meter in your arm, how tight are these going to? If I had to put a number on it, probably like 30 foot-pounds, something like that. It's not very much, is it? Not particularly when they've got something in them that's going to be acting like a Loctite. Again, get these guys done up. So you see, putting all that back together now with the grease, the time was getting it apart when it was, the time that we really used here was trying to get it apart when it was all dry and horrible. The opportunity to take it apart quickly in the future exists now because we know how everything is. We know it's in good condition, we know that it's all working, we know that there's no issues with it. We get these main bearings on. I'm moving fast because the sunlight is rapidly disappearing here. We're going to be finishing this up in the dark if I don't move quick. I just want to get to the bit where we can stick the winch handle in and make sure the operation of the internals. Not too fussed about putting the self-tailor gear on the top of it. That's all very simple. All right, get these guys in. Happy days there. 1, 2, 3, 4, everything greased up, and again we can go round. I know if you're not into this kind of thing, this must just make your heart bleed, but oftentimes when we come to the tops of these winches, there's corrosion in the top here, and because it's at the widest part of the bolt, it has a really strong effect on stopping the bolt from moving around. So, like the gloves are kind of sliding off the ends of my fingers here. Getting some good grease in the top of them is helpful. And then this pinion here is the main drive pinion. Get some in the top of these guys. I see no reason at all not to coat everything that's metal here with kind of as much as possible. Now, to just offset that slightly, I'm going to wipe off the massive excess. I just want things to have a coating. I don't want it actually dripping out of the winch afterwards. And if you're working on a super yacht or something, you know, you're not going to be doing this in case it starts actually running out down the sides of the winch when you've got guests on board. It's not a very good look. But you know, we are using this boat in the middle of the open ocean for kind of quite hardcore sailing. It's a different kind of thing. Okay, we get some of this on the drive gear. And again, if the winch gets hot in the sun, you're going to find that the grease all starts to run down. It's one of the great things to have winch covers that go over the top in a lighter color that stops these dark gray and black winches from getting really, really hot in the sun. Otherwise you start to lose all the grease. It just starts to fall down. And see where there's corrosion in the edge of this ring? Why let it develop? Now, is it going to catch dust like this? Boats are not very dusty environments. It's not really an issue. Is it going to repel salt? Yes. Yes, it is. That's what we want, right? We don't want salt and water getting in here because this is stainless steel and then this alloy. Get it in. Get it out. Hopefully we got ourselves a bit of protection now. I don't want to hold on to the winch with these very, very slimy gloves. And just get that totally, all the grease off my hands before I touch the friction surfaces of the winch. Okay, so now we can prove the winch. Yep, really, really quiet. Okay, like that. Yeah, that's pretty good, right? So it's not stiff, it's not damaged, it's not making any weird clunky noises or anything. So we've just got a couple bits left to go, and so I am kind of expressing through this, but it's now or never in terms of taking the video. I didn't really get into cleaning these off with any chemicals. We're going to come back and do a little job on these with silicone very soon, which I wanted to share with you. But you see here, oh, I should just point out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a peg hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a peg hole, so it's correctly located, and then a peg hole here. Come on, buddy. Okay, good. And then we get our bolts, then we get our newly fixed little components. Oh, we have messed up there. Ta-da! We need this bit on here with the cup down. This is the little piece that locates the stripper or the feeder or whatever you want to call it, the little bit that kicks the rope up into the self-tailer and strips the rope out of the self-tailer at the same time. We'll see in just a second. These are the little springs that make the top of the winch make the top of the winch the hardest bit to put back together, make the top of the winch sprung, make the self-tailer jaws hold together. And this guy now in here, these little recesses holding these guys here holding the little thingy. I feel like there's something missing here. Oh no, that's okay, that's okay. Oh, you know what, nearly forgot the Duralac. Oh, see how sticky this stuff is? Let's get the Duralac in. By the power of Grayskull, we will do this tonight, or I'll come back with a flipping head torch if we have to. All right, we're on the home straight. Let's get these guys buttoned down. Okay, that's the top down, and then we get the stripper, the feeder, whatever you want to call it. It should locate into the top here. sure everything's lined up there. Okay, and that's it. That's the winch back together again. Nice and quiet. We've still got some work to do to get it tied up on the top. We're going to put some silicone on there and make it look nice, as I've done on the other one over here the other day. But from a rapidly darkening Southampton, thanks very much for watching. If you found any of this useful, please remember to go below and like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.